Okay, I think we're live. Let me check. Hopefully you can see this. How's it going? I'm Mitchell Davis. I've created Laramates, laramates.com, and today I'm going to be doing a live stream, hopefully for the next hour or so, where I'm going to go through and add a list of attendees for Laracon. In this case, it'll be Laracon US, but I'm hoping that this will be applicable to other Laracons and other events in our Laravel community. So I'm going to walk you through some of the code for the Laramates website, and then we'll look at adding to the globe feature that we have, and I'll show you that in a minute. Look at adding some ability to display like links between people's countries and where they live, and then them flying into Laracon. I don't think we're going to hook it up to any real like flight APIs or anything like that. Could get pretty complicated, but we can at least show like, hey, these are where all of the people that are attending Laracon are coming from, different states in America and things like that. So where has all this come from? So let me switch screen here. So producer Dave here, Dave Hicking. So Dave, God, there it is. Cool, sorry. So Dave here put out a tweet a couple of days ago talking about this flighty.app. And this was specifically for WWDC, which is Apple's developer conference. And it shows all the different people that are coming from all over the world. So I've got that here. I might need to reload that. So this is really cool. Really nice like visualization here. You can see, you know, for me down in Sydney. So this is tracking at an airport level, and then you've got this ability to see specific attendees that were there. So this caught my interest as soon as I saw Ben Holman tagged me in this, because we already have a map, as he said. So let me show you that. This is what we have on Laramates. This is in my local environment, so there's not actually that many people on it as much as I would like. So this is the live one. This is what we actually have. Now, I'm really pleased with this. I'd love to see some more people on there. So if you'd like to be on a listing, a directory of Laravel developers so that other people can find you, the plan is that you will be able to initiate pairing calls through laramates.com. So if that interests you, feel free to jump on board now, create an account. It's all free. And you can see if we scroll to the bottom, we've got 109 developers there, bunch of different experts. So get yourself on there. It'd be great to have some more people on there. But anyway, back to the map. The globe. So what we want to be able to do is plot these connections similar to how it works here on flighty.app. So I've been thinking about some different ways that we could go about this. I think I'd like to set up dedicated pages for each event in our Laravel ecosystem. So we might have a Laracon US 2024 page, and then attendees would be able to go on there, punch in their own information. I don't think we'll need any sign up at this stage. I really want to like minimize the friction. So just allow people to go on there, enter in there some basic information, and then be displayed on the map as another link of wherever they're coming from. So I was going back and forth a little bit with Dave and with Ben the other day about what we might need, because I've had ideas for, as I wrote here, I've had ideas for how we could store this information, and what types of like info we might need. You can think about like database models and stuff, what we might actually need to store this. Dave came back and said specifically airport code. Now that works really well in the context of this flighty.app, where they would have shown, this was obviously last year, so they would have shown though in real time these flights coming in. I don't think I want to do that. I don't really want to go down the pathway of having to deal with actual flights and times and all this sort of stuff. So I think it will just be enough as a first version of this to be able to just say, hey, what city are you coming from? Because we already have a database of cities. That's how we're populating these. We've got, there's 5,000 odd cities in our database. So just being able to say, okay, hey, I'm coming from Sydney, or I'm coming from Nashville, or whatever, So that then also allows people that are driving there to be represented on the map when they wouldn't be flying into that event. So yeah, that's the gist. So what we're going to do now, I might move all of this out of the way over here. And let's have a look at some code. So this is the actual laramates.com. Yep, there we go. The laramates.com code base. And it's an interesting Laravel application. So for our projects under Atlas Software, which is the agency that I own, we really like working on projects where we kind of do domain-driven design, but not really. It's more just like orchestrating the code into nice, like neat domains. So we have a few here, and then on this stream, we'll go through and we'll try and figure out, okay, this is where we might put this into. But if I show you, for example, our profiles section here, so we have just a few models, and these relate to the actual profiles for our Laravel devs. So let's look at Larry's account here. So Larry has what is contact? Contacts is a new feature which we haven't launched yet. But Larry has experience, which is a collection of all of these packages, in this case composer packages, but we also have NPM packages. We have, and then each of those experiences points to a technology, which is either a package or we're going to add some other options there, like cloud services that you use. Are you really experienced with AWS, or specifically like S3 or CloudFront or whatever? So that's sort of our umbrella term for different technologies which you might be experienced with and other people might want to find you by. We have user websites as well, so these live here. So all of that lives in our the profiles domain. So that kind of gives you an idea of how domains work. But then our app directory. So we like to have multiple applications being able to be run out of the one code base, but serving under different domains. And the way that we do that, in this case, we've got the web app, but we also have the API app. And you can see like the routes for these. This is where we will have a publicly available API so that we can connect to it from our native PHP application, and perhaps later on in the year a mobile application. I'm still figuring that out. Excuse me. So yeah, that's the way that we structure our applications, and it's pretty interesting, I think. We do also have a common directory or namespace under our app section, and then this is where like shared logic, application level logic, and not business logic lives. So if we hop in here and we have a look, so we've got just some like shared sort of setting up Laravel information. So some sections about factories. We've got some bindings for our AWS client so that we can just do some nice dependency injection there. Bunch of different setup things that would be shared across all instances of the application, no matter which domain they're being served. Then we have domains. So this is talking about the domains in terms of domain-driven design, like I was talking about before. So this is just a list of all of our domains that we have, and then each of these can register their own bindings to do whatever they need to do inside of that domain. Then we have our route service provider. So this, we are registering the different ways that you can access the application. So that all happens here. So on the web application, if I go into here, you'll see that we do have an API namespace inside of web. And that's where, in this case, we're returning back the information for the globe that I showed you before. So if I bring that up here, and I go to here, you can see /API/globe. So this is being run on the web application, despite it being an API endpoint, which is basically just saying that it's just got some JSON that it's going to return back to us. So we're also using this for like the search fields here. So if I go to this filters section and I start typing in Sydney, that too came from a search locations controller over here. API is where we will have routes for, let's hop into here, the native PHP side of things for now. So those are like versioned endpoints, you know, fairly typical sort of having an API for your project. Cool. So let's start thinking about where we might store this information. There's Michael. Thank you for joining us. Always good to see you. So let's think about where we might put information about events and attendees. So like I said at the start of the stream, I don't really want you to have to sign up for this. I think that this, honestly, as like the owner of this system, having a publicly available and easily accessible way to get yourself onto this page so that other people can see you, it's probably more benefit in that exposure there. Just thinking about this as a product owner, more benefit there for the platform in just having an easy, quick way to sign up. We don't need to be doing any verification or anything like that. Like if somebody puts in some, malicious information or something that, I don't want on the page, I could just go in and delete it. But we're not going to be creating any extensive profiles for these people. It's just a way to get yourself on the page, and then create some interesting conversations as well between, you might have only traveled an hour to get to this conference, but someone might have come from the other side of the world, right? So you're going to see that on this map, and that's going to draw some attention to those profiles. And then the hope will be that if you see this, like you as a conference attendee, you see this website, you will want to get yourself on there. But then also perhaps you might want to set up a full profile for yourself and be like all of these people that we have on here. So that's the idea. So let's put that to the side for now. Let me see if anything is popping off. Michael has retweeted me. Thank you, Michael. Cool. So let's get into it. So I normally like to think about things always from the route file and then go further into the application. So I'm thinking routes, I'm thinking controllers, I'm thinking of what the URL structure is going to look like. And then I start thinking about the models to actually serve that information, migrations, etc., all of that. So this is going to live inside of our web app, and let's just check out how that works. So I showed you the route service provider before. Let's look at specifically the web portion of that, which would be just like requests made by visiting URLs, nothing to do with JSON. So we have 3 different sections inside of our web, our web.web. So we can look at those here. We have the authenticated routes, and these are like, this is where you'll see being able to update your password and log out, etc. We've just got, this is like our way of nesting, like keeping our files really clean. So you see each one of these only has to import one file, which then goes and imports all of the others for you, but it sets up like the middleware grouping. So you would call this index, and then it is in charge of knowing like the prefixes for routes, any middleware that's needed, etc. So if we get into it, we have over here, so we've got contacts, which again isn't yet released, but we also have settings. So let me bring the application back over here, and I'm logged in, so I'll show you now. We have, if you look at the address bar here, we have my profile, my technologies, and my websites. And technologies under the hood is called experience. So that's how this this section works. We have guest areas. So again, we have an index which just calls auth. And then this is where we have our register, our login, reset, all this sort of stuff. And this all came from Breeze, Laravel Breeze, and we've just modified it slightly. Cool. But then we get into the main section, which is public. So this is where you're seeing this list. You're seeing the index section there. I think that lives here. Yep. So this is our index page, and that's over here. And it just loads a really simple inertia view. Here, this was more around tracking for when we're in our pre-launch phase. We had some information in there. This actually should be deleted. So I will get rid of that. Yeah, so we're just serving here a count of visible profiles, and that's what's making its way into here. And I can show you some of the inertia view stuff that we're doing a little later on. So now that we know roughly how the routing structure works, let's think about setting up an events area. So the routes that I can see us having would be like an events. I don't even want to do an events index at this point. Let's just keep this super tightly scoped to, we have an event page for, in this case, Laracon US. And Michael, since you're here, if you're still here, maybe we can do one for Laracon AU as well with your input. But I just want to have a simple page which we'll just render out a list of attendees and the globe with all of the connections from where people are coming from. And I want to have a way for someone to add themselves to that page. And that's basically it. That's the goal for this stream. So let's set up a new, since this is kind of tightly scoped to just dealing with events and not particularly to profiles and other things, let's set up a new, whatever this would be, a new file here, a new set of routes. And the way that we've got, yeah, here we go. The order of this is quite important. So we're using this like catch-all to be able to show things outside sort of the root. That's how we can get Anton here. And the order of this, I think, is important. I don't quite remember. Maybe we can play around with it. But this has to be like the last route that's loaded, I think. Don't know. Anyway, so we're going to set up a new file called events. So let's go in and create that. What would be a good one to copy from? Nothing yet. So look, let's just copy from here. we're going to go events. We will add it to Git. Cool. So now this exists. Beautiful. So if we go, I think this should be slash. Yeah, let's do this as a resource. So we will call this events. We're going to create an event controller. We'll deal with that later. I can get rid of that. And it's hard with this microphone in the way. Not name, we want only. So we are just going to have a show method for now for our events, like I talked about. So let's set this up. So if we now come through over to our controllers, we go to public. And public in this case, if it wasn't clear, public just means it's available for either authenticated users or guests. In this case, like it doesn't matter. It's a directory website. We want this to be available to everyone. So let's set up a new Laravel controller, and we will call this the event controller. We don't want an index, we just want a show. Now, for now, I'm just going to inject the slug here, and then we'll get this set up to actually work with like a database model and stuff. But what I want to do is just show that, hey, this is working. So with any luck, this should now work. So if we go like Laracon US, I'm on Laramates.com. So let me bring over this one. Here we go. So Laracon US 2024. There we go. So we're into our controller here, and now if we instead DD the slug, perfect, that's working. So, okay, let me just check on here. Yep, cool. So the next thing I'd probably want to do, that's a good question. Let's just start like scaffolding out. Let's do this at the all in the controller level, and then we'll deal with models later on. So I'm going to say that an event like Laracon has a couple of different properties on it. This is distracting the crap out of me. I'm sorry. I've got the stream up on my side here, and I can't focus while it's there. Cool. So yeah, let's get into this. So let's say that we have an event, and it's got, you know, a name, and let's say that's Laracon US. It's got a slug. That can just be slug. It's got some type of description. Maybe let's go to laracon.us. Perfect. So we want to be careful not to rip off the conference website, because that wouldn't be good. So we need a way to sort of refer people back to the actual website for the conference or the meetup or whatever. But this is to give an idea, right? So maybe we have some type of URL. Yep, that looks good. Let's say that all events have a start and an end date. So let's just go with that. So why don't we go... we'll use this type of structure. So let's go, when does it start? August 27th. Okay, so again, this silly microphone. 27, and I I know this might not be accurate. We can look at the schedule later, but let's just do it like this. So we'll go started at and finished at. What else will we need? I won't do anything about like speakers or anything like that at this stage. So let's just go with that for now. And then we'll have a list of attendees. So this is going to be an array of attendees. Each one of these will have, let's say, a name. In this case, let's use the speaker list. So Taylor Otwell, because I won't be there. Let's say some type of URL for each attendee, so that way you can go and check them out. So we'll have whatever Taylor's copy, Twitter. We're going to have a city. So if we come back over to the main website, I think Taylor's in Arkansas. Little Rock. So let's go with Little Rock. Cool. So we'll deal with this later, but we're going to go Little Rock. Now we're also going to need up here the city of where the event is happening. Now the event is happening in Dallas. Cool. And then we'll go and convert these into actual like database records later. Cool. So let's just add one more person. So we're going to get Adam. So Adam Wathen. Beautiful. Don't actually know where Adam lives. He's Canadian, right? Shoot. If anyone in the chat knows, you could help me out here. Let's leave it blank for now. Let's add one more. We're going to get the man Aaron Francis. Aaron D. Francis. And I think he's from Houston. Really putting me through my paces here. No, he's from Dallas. Okay, well, perfect example of someone who's probably not flying to the conference. Cool. So I think we can start to render this out now. So let me show you how we're managing the Vue.js layer and inertia and things like that. So we come down here into our Vue project, and we've got resources, web. We have, if you've never used inertia before, you need to have a blade file, which is what Laravel will render out. And then it has this blade directive here at inertia. And then that's what kicks it over into our inertia project. So we go to our inertia project and we have here, there we go. We have here, let me blow this up. So we're creating our inertia app. We've got some things in here about, about Fathom. We've got some Flash messages. It's all going on. It's a fairly normal inertia Vue app. So we'll get into our pages. So yeah, so this doesn't quite follow the exact same like public versus authenticated setup. This is trying to follow the URL scheme. I'm not really sure why we've done it that way. It's just kind of what's happened. But anyway, let's create a new events directory under the root level, and then we will have a show .vue because that will match our event controller. So the way that we get this to work, we go return inertia render, and it will be, I think it's just event/show. And that's all you need to pass to it. Then we get our list of props, and we are going to pass the event array that we've set up here. So now, search layout. This won't be a search layout. We have a bunch of different layouts here. Aaron actually was tweeting about nested inertia layouts a little while ago, and I mentioned like we're doing some interesting things there. So maybe I can just walk you through that. So we have a base layout here, and this kind of sets up the page. Then we've got some the footer sections. We're doing some stuff with the headers, but then we have if we go to this search layout here, we have this extends out of the public layout, and it adds all of this information here. So like you'll see if I expand this out, we have this like search section here, and then that works. We're reusing that. That's built into the layout component, so that way we don't have to duplicate all of that. If we look at public layout, it extends the base layout. So you can see we've sort of got this nesting setup. So the public layout is adding this nav bar up the top. But then if we were to look at this page, this is the index page. This just goes directly off of the base layout because you can see like it doesn't have a background here on this on the nav bar here. So the nav bar treatment is a little different versus here where it does. So you can play around with this and kind of figure out like where the abstraction should be. So we're doing that. Cool. So let's figure out what this should extend. I would think it would just be the public layout. So I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff because this all relates to SEO, and I don't want to think about that right now. So let's import that. Again, I don't really want to think about any of the like header tags, which is what we're doing inside of this app head thing. It's an inertia thing. So look, let's just reset everything from scratch and go, let's do a JSON dump of our props.event, and we will pretty print that. Okay, so we don't have a search layout anymore. I don't really know why PHP Storm isn't getting that right, but that's okay. Cool. So we know that we're going to get an event prop as a part of this page's payload, and that's actually all that we're going to get for now. So if we run that, there we go. Cool. So if you've never seen inertia before, I highly recommend it. We have a blog post about it. It is in trends, actually. There it is. We have a blog post here about using inertia with Laravel specifically. I love it. We use it all the time. And yeah, if you're interested in it, I'd recommend checking out this article. You can find it on atlas.dev. So that's how we're going to get access to PHP information into our Vue.js code. So why don't we now just try and I'm not going to worry too much on this stream about styling because I can go back and forth for forever. So let's just get some basic information down on the page. Maybe we can go to Tailwind UI and see if they have any examples for us that we could kind of leverage. The main things that I want to get from this stream today, now that we're actually getting into it, is leveraging the globe that we have to be able to show these connections. Maybe in a in a subsequent stream, I could make it so you can actually go and sign up for this. So anyway, let's see how we go. So let's just start rendering out some of this information in a bit of a nicer way. Let's run a format there. So yeah, let's go and look at Tailwind UI. Do they have any nice like event templates? They might in their templates area. Conference template. Ooh, that does look good. Let's just see if we can take some ideas from this. You know, it's all right. Let's just build this out with some simple. It's probably not hero sections, header sections. Okay. Let's just use this text. Yes. So, you know, it would be good. Do they have any free versions? They do, so I can make sure I'm not giving you anything that I shouldn't. Browse components. Okay, perfect. They're giving away a bunch. Cool. So, yeah, let's leverage this. It will be in view. Now, we don't want all of this. I don't want the background in particular. I don't actually want any of that. I just want like the text, basically. So what is this going to look like? I want this to be the title. So we can go props.event. I think we called it name. And then let's copy this stuff, just so we can see if it works. So guess we'll do this. Yeah, here we go. Cool. All right. So obviously there's some styling that we need to deal with here, but that is not a problem. There we go. Cool. So yeah, let's get this to work. So interesting that our BG Gray 900, this doesn't seem to have applied. Don't know. I would have thought that would have worked better, but there we go. Cool. That's now looking good. Just get some things sorted out here. Cool. Let's have this for our description. Props.event.description. Description. Nice, that's good. So maybe we'll set that at like a 700. That looks a bit better. I'm really confused as to why this isn't in gray. Like a very dark gray. That has got me tickled pink. Don't know. Okay, cool. So again, we might let's think. Are we going to need links like this? Yeah, probably for like the conference link, right? So let's set that up now. So let's make these maybe a gray 500. That looks good. So let's update our links here. We'll make this dynamic. So if we come up to the event controller, maybe we'll go URLs. This will be an array. maybe we have the title will equal laracon.us and href will equal that. We'll just have one of those for now. Maybe we'll also have a Twitter, like I'm sure they have. Does Laracon have a Twitter page somewhere? I'm looking, I don't see it. It's all right. All right, we'll just go with one link. Cool, so let's rename this to be links. So now let's get it to work. So we will go through our props.event.links. It will have a name, we'll have a href. There we go. Cool, so I should be able to just reload. Didn't quite work. Title, let's call it name. There we go. Cool, okay. So I might actually change this so that it uses our branding color. Yeah, there we go. So let's go. I think it's better with that. Okay, so let's not spend too much time on styling. Now what we actually have is, you'll see we've got this like ability to float this little arrow up and to the right here when you hover over it. We're using that in a few different spots. So we have another component for that, and it is called arrow right moving on hover icon. Need to give that a class. This mouse is killing me. And then to get this to work, we need to make this a group and an inline flex. Item center, gap x2, go away, that's too much. Yeah, there we go. So what about baseline? Nope, not that. Wonder if we make this just a little bigger. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Cool. All right. So I think that this is way too much padding up the top here. So if we just get rid of that one, honestly, still probably too much. Yep, cool. So how does this look? It's a bit bigger. We might want to play with the styling here because I don't love that, but it's a start. So I really like spacing out all my divs. I'm probably a bit annoying with it, but you know, we all have our styles that we like. Okay, and then some stats. I think we can probably come back to stats later. Let's just write in some like fake stats, and then we could figure that out later. So if we go cities, maybe it's more interesting to go countries, and then let's say there are, you know, I don't know, 20 different countries. There are cities, and this is for different attendees, like coming to the conference. Let's say there are, you know, 70 different cities that people are coming from. And then let's say, you know, speakers, I don't know, there's probably 20. And attendees, let's say there's 1,000. Big conference. Cool. All right. So that will do it. So let's just get that styling to work. That looks better. Text gray 900. Cool. That looks interesting. Gap X2 maybe. Why doesn't ours look like that? Okay. I'm not going to worry about that right now. That's fine. Cool. Okay, so we have our header. This is already starting to look decent. So, yeah, let's start thinking about how we might render out a list of users. So where would we put that? Should that be in this div? Yeah, I'm going to say yes. It can be... No, we've got relative on here. No, let's leave that as it is. So let's make a new section. And then we will have maybe a header here. Well, this can be a H3 since this was already a H2. That should be a H1. That's the title. So now we have a H2. This will be our attendees. And then we'll have a list of attendees. So for this, we can go attendee in props.events.attendees. Go away. We need to give this a key, and that will just be the attendee. We'll use the index. So if you've never seen this before, somehow you can get like key values from arrays and objects by using this syntax, and the keys for an array will just be like auto incrementing numbers, their index in the array. So that gives us a unique key then for each item in our list of attendees, and that should be event. Cool. We'll worry about styling later. So let's just drop in the attendee name there, run a format, and you can see we've got our list of attendees. Cool. So let's just make sure everything's still rocking. It is. Beautiful. Cool. How long have we been going for? 51 minutes. Awesome. So, again, we can deal with styling and other stuff later. That's okay. Let's get a globe in here, and then we can figure out all the styling. So I'm going to bring. There we go. Going to blow this up a little bit. So let me show you how the globe works. So if I come to our home page here, we have this globe component. So I'll show you that right from the top. So we have our index.view, and that's this whole page. So you can see it's got some type of layout. We have things like a footer down the bottom and so on. We have this hero section. How did we get here? And this sort of tells the story of how Laramates came to be. And then the call to action is down the bottom here to get people to hopefully register. So inside of our hero component here, now, yes, because I've used this at thing, it doesn't, PHP Storm for whatever reason isn't resolving that alias. So I'll just navigate to it manually. So that lives here. So we have our hero component, and that kind of covers all of this. You can see this markup and things like that in here. But then we have this globe component. So that lives here. So our globe, I'm no genius. I don't know how to create this thing to work like this, but the good people behind globe.gl, which you can go to if you're interested. Excuse me. Globe.gl is how we're providing this this view, and we're actually using this as our way of rendering out the countries here. So why don't we play with this, and I'll just show you how it works. So if I change this to be 6, it should reload, maybe not. Gee, it hasn't liked that. Something's gone on. really sure what's happened there. It's like my whole computer's freezing up. I don't know. Okay, it didn't like that. So let's try again. Okay, maybe 6 is a bad number. Well, what I can show you is like I can change the margin on these. Dude, that's got me. There we go. Okay, so you can see it's rendering a little different now, but this is not what I wanted. That's really weird. Okay, let me try not in incognito mode. Cool. Okay, so these numbers must be not good. So, why isn't this working? This was meant to be the easy part. So, if I reset this, now it works. Aha, that's what I wanted. Okay, so the margin has to be, I guess, less than 1, otherwise it doesn't work. Can we change the resolution? We can't. That's why it killed my browser, because there's a huge difference. So between these two properties here, we can change like how many points we're plotting on the map. That's what I was trying to show you. So let's go back to our 0.8. Cool. So that's what's giving us the all the different points of the countries there, right? Now, you can see from the Globe GL documentation, like clearly it's possible somehow to differentiate between the countries in terms of colors, but I've kind of felt this looked a bit tacky. So I just went with one standard approach where all the countries are drawn the same. We're also leveraging this. So we're not drawing satellites, we're drawing cities on the map where user profiles are. So because this is in a local environment, this is drawing like 5,000 different cities, which is why it's actually choking up the browser a little bit. But if we had far fewer people on here, it would be a little more performant. So that's a future problem, a scaling problem. But anyway, so what we will want to do is be able to draw connections between cities, and this would be an example of that. So kind of like this. It's not exactly what we'll be going for, but pretty cool though. What a great tool. So we want to be able to show these connections. So the code for that already exists actually. In our pre-launch era, we had some mocked connections going between cities, and that was to mock up calls happening. So the code for that is down here. So this represents links between different cities. So let me show you this by just faking some data on here, and then we'll go from there. We'll get it to start working in here. So let's go edit our index controller. Our globe controller. And you can see right now we're just returning an empty array for calls. Because this is so limiting on the system, I'm just going to take, the first 100 users here, and let's reload this. Is this? This is cached. Okay, so let's just go sale artisan cache clear. Clear the cache out, and now perfect. Now we only have 100 cities around the globe instead of the 5,000 because it was getting a little choked up there. Okay, so the schema that we have to display calls, we just need to have a from, a to, and these are latitude and longitudes, and then a label on there. So let's just set that up now. So why don't we go, we're going to have an array of calls. So let's define our label, and that will be, Sydney to Dallas, I think it was. From, we will go, well, we have our list of cities. Why don't we do this? Let's do it for real. So I'll show you our the database. We have a list of cities here. So if I search for Sydney, there we go. So it's city number 98. Obviously, we're going to change this so that it works a little differently. And then Dallas is 4371. So why don't we go query, find 98 was Sydney, and then we only want the latitude and longitude, and then we will do 2 will be this one. So I think with any luck, again I clear that cache, ta-da! So we might want to change the styling of this, but that's the general idea of how we're going to show all of these connections. So to make this look somewhat real without any data, let's now get this. What's the best way to do this? Firstly, we need to bring in this globe component onto our event page. So let's do that. So if I go to this globe, why don't we put this in our new section? I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. So I can get rid of this shift factor because that's what's making it off center. That's how on our main page we can have text on the left and details on the right. So if I now reload this, there we go. Now the globe is centered. It is very zoomed in. So why don't we make this like 50% of our view height here. Yeah, here we go. So now we can play around with this. It's set to absolute. Don't think we want that. And the cursor grab is just so that it's displayed to people as with this like grab cursor that you can see there. So this isn't perfect, but it's going to give us an idea. And now I'm actually going to just comment out maybe this section so that we are perfectly visible there on the page. Cool. So, okay. So now what I think we need to do is tell the globe where to get its list of like its parameters, right? So we don't want it to fetch from the list of like all Laramates profiles, which is happening here. Instead, what I think we should do is maybe pass this in as a parameter to it and say, hey, go get your list from over here instead. So, so why don't we make this a prop? We'll go this .props.api route. We'll define our prop up here. We'll go API route. That will be, it is a string. We'll say it's not required. And we'll make the default be what the current one is. Cool. So that still works. But then over here, when we have our globe, we can go API route, and that will equal route web.api.globe. So let's just deliberately mess this up. So if we go here, it doesn't show anything. So that's correct. That has gone off to a different endpoint based on this prop here. So let's set up an API endpoint for getting the globe information for this Laracon US event. So to do that, we'll come up to here. So again, think about like the URL structure. Maybe this should be /API/event/Laracon US 2024 /globe, let's say. So I would set that up like this. We'll have a globe controller for a given event. That will be here. PHP Storm's already set this up for us. So, won't worry about caching right now. Yep, perfect. So, let's not deal with caching while we get this to work. So, again, let's just fake the data, and we're going to say, okay, we want a list of cities. Let's plot every city in the US in our database, which are all cities above 100,000 population. And let's say we got a representative from every single city. So for that, we could go, can we go country, state dot country? No, that's right. We can go where has state, and then we go country, query, where, country code equals US. Okay, so we need to register this as a route, which we can do over here. It is not a web route, it is an API route. So you can see we've got some to-dos in here. Cool, so let's go slug events globe controller. We'll probably come back to that, but that's fine. Cool. Okay, so now we have events.globe. Now we can get this thing to instead call web API events.globe. It's going to need to know the slug, which will be props.event.slug. And now, with any luck, we're back in business. Okay, cool. So this is our list of cities. I would have thought there would be more than that.
Sorry, I don't understand.
I don't understand either, Siri. Okay, so if we now reload that. Wow, these are really the only cities with over a... Ah, I've edited the wrong file. That's better. Okay, cool. So now we will try and render calls. Well, you know, connections. These are currently called calls. Maybe I can rename that to be a single connection from each of those cities into Dallas in this case. So let's say our destination is Dallas. So what we want to do is loop through each of our cities with users, map through those. Nope, that was not a good call. Okay, so we're going to return sprintf. We'll go to and that will be city name and then destination name. Cool. So now we have our label. Then we can go city only those and then destination only those. Yeah, that should be it. So now, what have we missed? Nothing. Perfect. So if we render that, we get a heck of a lot more. Look at that. So that's kind of scary looking, but gives the idea. So we're off to a good start here. So yeah, how long have we been going for? An hour 10. Okay, I might go another 15 minutes or so and then call it there as like a good proof of concept. So now that we've got that working, maybe we can add some props to, you see how it automatically spins to be in Australia? We're doing that by detecting the user's time zone offset here, and this loads instantly. This is the same way that GitHub did this when they had a globe on their homepage originally, because you want to see, like, you want to see users near you. If I go and look at the real Laramates, it's quite nice to see that, okay, there are other people near me. I'm down over here, as opposed to like hovering over UTC London or whatever. Like, this doesn't have a lot of weight for me down in Sydney. So yeah, so I think maybe we want to make that conditional and instead focus on the main like city that we'd want to render out here. So why don't we do that? We could also have this so that it doesn't spin either, and that could be a prop. So yeah, let's do that. So why don't we call this property like focus, maybe? Focused city. Don't know. We'll make it an object. It is not required, and it can just default to null. So here, let's have a new property, event city. Anytime I say city, Siri is arcing up. Okay, so here where we have city, let's change this to be city query find whatever Dallas was. Cool. So now, does that still work? It does. Cool. So now if we have a focus point, which will include like the latitude and longitude of that city, then we can go let's bring these up. Cool. So we'll go let on each of these equals 0. If this this dot props dot focus, then we'll set initial latitude equals, yep, that's exactly it. Longitude, surely you can figure that out. Right, else then we'll do this stuff. Look at that. Okay, so just like that, that's working. And if I come back to the main Laramates, then this works. Cool. So I don't want this to spin if there's a focus. So let's disable that. So auto rotate. So let's, if this dot props dot focus. Cool. So now auto rotate shouldn't turn on. Perfect. But if I hover over one of these, you see now it turns back on because we've got some logic here to stop the globe from rotating if you hover over it. So cool. So let's just check for that. So that's going to equal this. So now if I hover over those, it doesn't start spinning. But if I hover over here, assuming I can get it, there we go. That's working. Cool.
I'm not sure I understand.
Siri, you are killing me. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. So I think for, like, this is pretty good. It's come a fair way here. I would definitely style this up. Why don't we simulate this for Australia? So what if we set up, I'm not actually going to build it out, but let's do one on Australia. I think it was 98 before. So the focus will be wrong. It will all be happening over here because I haven't renamed that in the other controller. But yeah, okay. So you can see the idea. Well, sorry, it's actually, we're in Brisbane this year. So where is Brisbane? 107. Cool. So let's get it to work. All right. So this would be realistic. Why don't we bring in, say, some people from New Zealand? So let's go, we're in country code AU, NZ. See what that looks like. Yep, nice. And then maybe we'll have some people from Japan. Bali, maybe. Or Indonesia. Okay, maybe not all of Japan, but you get the idea, right? And then these, like, the fact that these all kind of line up, you can change that as well with this globe.view thing. I forget where that happens. Points, arc. Yeah, it's one of these. You can change it here, but yeah. Anyway, look, that's a pretty good point to kind of leave this off. I might get some screenshots of this and put them out on Twitter. So, look, if you've enjoyed this stream, I'd love if you could share it out. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I've just created a new YouTube channel, so this is up live on there as well. Yeah, if you like what I'm doing, hope you'll follow along, and I hope you'd sign up for Laramates. And when this becomes live, and if you're going to Laracon US, and if we do one for Laracon AU as well, hope you'll jump on there and suss it out. Cool. So I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cool. Thank you.